Oh, a hallway.
Run into a potential murder weapon here. We don't have to do too much Ace Attorney stuff in this game. Okay.
Huh. Well, even if he wasn't one of us, there's no way that man could be Zero.
Huh?
Don't you get it? The letters that spell Zero on the TV screen, the captain's clothes he's got on, and of course, the bracelet with a zero on it. It's too obvious. Look, this is Zero right here. This dead body is Zero. Isn't that kind of fishy?
You're right. Only an idiot wouldn't see through something like that.
No, that's not the point. So I'm not trying to make fun of them for thinking a trick like this would work. I'm sure they didn't think it would work, which makes me wonder. I think this is a challenge. A challenge from the person who's really behind all of this. He's making fun of us. Don't you get it? If whoever killed this guy really wanted us to think this corpse was Zero, they'd never have put a bracelet on him. Walking around with a Zero bracelet would be like hanging a sign around your neck that said, "I did it!" Anyone with a brain would be able to see that this guy is supposed to look like everything Zero is supposed to be. Just like we did. The killer must have known we wouldn't think he was Zero and put the bracelet on him anyway. Do you know why?
Why?
Like I said, he's mocking us. Too bad, suckers, this isn't Zero. Where's the real me then? See if you can catch me. It's the same bad joke a lot of criminals like to play. They'll just sit back and watch people run in circles.
That's really twisted. But it almost seems kind of childish.
Yeah, you're right. It's really childish. It's like it's just a game to whoever this person is. That's what seems funny to me.
You're gonna need the bracelet to pull it off. You're gonna need the bracelet to pull off like a Zero cosplay.
Alright, let's get back to the point. Who killed this man?
I don't know.
And what's this guy's deal? Who is he?
How would I know that? If I knew anything, I would have told you.
You have no idea who he is.
Why would I?
Zero is the person that put them all on this ship in the first place. Or at least that is how they identify. Junpei sat back on his haunches and thought.
We should check and see if he's got anything on him that might tell us who he is. Give me a hand here, Clover.
Huh?
We gotta flip him over. How else are we gonna search his pockets?
Clover didn't move.
Okay, fine. Guess I'll do it.
Junpei had no choice but to move the body on his own.
Here we go.
He grabbed hold of an area not completely covered in blood and shoved. It took a moment, but eventually Junpei felt the man's bulk began to shift. But just as it did,
Huh?
something fell from the man's left wrist.
Hey, it's the...
The bracelet was 0 on the face.
Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1. You escape from this ship.
Just get something like those little smoker things they use to anesthetize bees. Just get one of those little smoker things.
2. More heartbeat, which is 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confines of the ship, or the backside of the wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically.
Oh, God.
Junpei stared at the bracelet.
This man... He's dead, isn't he?
All the blood didn't tip you off there, Junpei?
Huh?
No, it's just... I guess I didn't really think about it until right now. If his bracelet's off, that means he's dead.
Well, it's pretty obvious that he's dead. You don't really need to look at his bracelet to figure out that he's dead.
Yeah. I guess you're right. It is pretty obvious. Well, he looks a lot better than the other bodies we've seen, though. You know? I mean, if there wasn't all this blood, he'd almost look like he was still alive.
Junpei, this isn't helping.
I mean, I know it's kind of a messed up thing to say, but he kind of has it better, you know?
Not helping.
Dying from a bomb going off inside of you? I mean, that's just... Some of Snake's bones went right through his skin.
Yaha!
I think
This
the explosion
will
must have
help.
thrown him against a wall or something. There was a broken bone just sticking out of his left arm. And...
Suddenly, Junpei realized what he was saying. How could he have been so cruel? He clapped his hands over his mouth. But it was already too late. He turned to look at Clover. She was glaring at him furiously.
What did you just say?
Her words sounded cold. He knew an apology could hardly atone for what he'd done, but he tried anyway.
Oh man, I am so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I really don't know what I was thinking. I mean...
Yeah, the voice is completely on purpose for Zero. After all, you don't want to know who Zero is yet, do you? It'd kind of spoil things.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. What did you say about his arm?
Arm?
Yes, his left arm. You said it, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did, but... I mean, didn't you see it too?
Of course not. I could barely look at him. There's no way I was going to see the details.
Clover took a quick, deep breath.
Are you sure it was his left arm?
Junpei thought back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
And he had a broken bone, right?
What the hell are you getting at here?
Just shut up and answer me!
She shoved her face closer to his. He could see the fire in her eyes. Junpei winced and swallowed.
Yeah, he did. It was pretty bad, too. The bone was sticking out of the arm.
No sooner were the words out of his mouth than Clover's expression changed.
Clover? What's wrong? Look, I'm sorry if I said anything.
Suddenly, she was crying. Junpei wasn't sure what to do.
Thank you.
It was close to the last thing he'd expected to hear.
Huh? What are you...
Junpei had no idea what had just happened. He didn't think he'd done anything worthy of thanks, and that he couldn't understand why she would have chosen that moment to begin crying. So he simply stood there, confused.
Thank you so much, Junpei.
She thanked him again, and then something even stranger happened. Clover threw herself into Junpei's surprised arms.
Hey, what's going on with you?
I'm sorry, it's just... I'm so happy!
Yeah, during the last run, we learned that Snake had an accident when he was younger, where not only did it cause him to lose his eyesight, but he also completely lost his left arm. His left arm was pretty much all prosthetic.
Why?
The body in the shower room, it isn't his! It isn't my brother!
Huh?
It's not Snake!
Why on earth would you think that?
Because his left arm is...
She stopped herself.
I'm sorry. I really shouldn't be talking about this.
Junpei decided it would be prudent not to press her for any more information. After all, he still completely sucks at consoling people, and only succeeds when he does it completely accidentally. If she did not wish to tell him, she certainly had a reason for doing so. Perhaps more importantly, however, if Clover was so certain, then she was likely right. That meant the body in the shower room wasn't Snake. It wasn't much, but that knowledge lifted some of the weight from Junpei's heart.
But... he's still alive. I'm so happy.
Tears shone in her eyes. Those tears melted Junpei's heart, as somewhere deep within the recesses of his memories, he remembered an upset Clover axing him in the head, and knew he would not have to go through that again. As she cried, she had pushed herself up against his chest, like a child. Junpei put his arms around her and held her tight.
I'm so glad!
Huh?
Junpei, you were right!
Huh?
No matter what happens, you can never lose hope. You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love. If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck.
Clover reached into her pocket and pulled something out.
That's...
It was a laminated bookmark with a 4-leaf clover. Junpei knew this, only because he'd seen it a short few hours ago.
I only made it here because you gave me this. I was suspicious of everybody, and I was angry and miserable. But because I had this 4-leaf clover, because of what you said to me,
Yeah.
Junpei hadn't thought his words would have had such an effect on her. Her words were making him feel a little awkward.
Thank you so much, Junpei.
Yeah, he has no chance to cheat on her with Akane. Or cheat on Akane with her, I should say. Yeah, he's kind of devoted to Akane pretty much totally. She looked up at him. He scratched his nose and pretended to notice something interesting somewhere else in the room. He has no game.
Oh, if you really want to thank somebody, you should be thanking Santa.
Santa? Why?
Well, he was the one who gave me that thing. And the words for each leaf, I got that from him too.
Oh.
Then suddenly, Clover broke away from Junpei.
Huh?
He looked confused. He hadn't thought she'd react that poorly. Clover began to pace across the room. 6 steps to the left, 6 steps to the right. Another 6 to the left, and then she stopped.
Did Santa really tell you those things?
Her eyes were serious, but not angry.
Yeah, he did. Did I say something wrong?
Oh no, not at all. In fact, this could be really good news, I think.
You think?
Santa knew about the words and the clover. The only people who should know about that are the other subjects.
Subjects?
The other people who were in the experiment 9 years ago, with my brother and me.
Uh-huh.
But he's blind, and I was part of the Nevada test group. So neither of us would be able to recognize the faces of the people who were on this boat.
Whoa. Okay, time out.
Junpei held up his hands. He took a deep breath and let it out.
Let's just calm down for a second, okay? Start from the top. Don't start with the end and then jump to the middle. You gotta start with 1 and then move to 2 and 3 and 4 and so on.
That is how numbers work, Junpei. Good job.
If you don't tell me stuff in the right order, I'm never gonna be able to figure it out.
Okay.
Clover nodded.
All right. Let's start with this experiment. What happened on this boat 9 years ago?
Do you know about morphogenetic fields?
Morphogenetic fields?
He did, and the realization sent chills down Junpei's spine.
All right, how about this? Theory of the telepathic mechanism.
I think Lotus mentioned something like that.
Junpei recounted what Lotus had told him earlier. Clover nodded.
Telepathy, huh? Well, that's not really it, but I suppose it's similar.
So they were testing telepathy on this ship?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, what exactly did they have you guys do?
The same thing that we're doing now. Exactly the same thing.
What?
The Nonary Game. 9 people were put on this boat, and 9 others were put in the building in Nevada, and the game started.
Junpei grabbed the sides of his head.
Look, I'm sorry, but I don't get it.
Junpei definitely needs smaller sentence fragments to get this.
What do the Nonary Game and some telepathy experiment have to do with each other? Am I missing something here?
Clover bit her lip, wondering if she was just wasting her time trying to explain everything to Junpei. She blinked back sudden tears. What had happened to her in Nevada?
The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things. The first is epiphany, and the other is danger. You know how sometimes when you're up against a really tough problem, and then the answer just kind of pops in your head? That's an epiphany. And what you learn from the epiphany can be transmitted with telepathy. When you add danger to that equation, then it gets easier to transmit that information over telepathy.
So you're saying the Nonary Game was supposed to introduce that element of danger?
Yeah, but it couldn't be just any old danger. It had to be life and death. And someone did actually die. A girl.
Huh.
Junpei felt the sudden grip of despair on his heart. Something deep and distant and powerful squeezed, and for a moment he felt very, very empty and alone.
She was on the boat with my brother. I was in Nevada. I never met her, but I did hear her name. Her name was...
The sound of the door opening was like a gunshot. Junpei spun around.
Oh, my apologies. I seem to have disturbed you.
Ace.
You two must have strong stomachs. I can't imagine how you could stay in this room for so long.
Ace glanced down at the floor. At the corpse covered in blood.
At any rate, Junpei, would you be so kind as to come and help me with something? I'm having a little
Her
trouble.
name was...
I could really use
Ace.
your assistance.
Yes, there we go.
Come on. It'll only take a moment.
He's gonna pat down your pockets again, man. With that, he turned and walked back towards the communications office. Clover waited until he was out of sight, then spoke in a small, quiet voice.
I don't want Ace to hear us. We can talk about this later.
Huh? Hey, wait!
Clover ignored him. From outside, Junpei could hear Ace calling.
Junpei? What are you doing in there? Hurry up!
God damn it, Ace, stop. Grumbling. Yes, then Clover smoked. I would imagine needing a cigarette. Yeah. Grumbling to himself, Junpei stomped off towards the communications office. Blank sheet of paper. Screwdriver set. Bottle of ink. So first, let's get our code. So we combine with ink. Combine that with the paper. We have a Morse code chart. Back over here. I have 9 viewers right now. Funny.
Looks like there's something on the cover. ALLICE. All ice. Alice. Does this mean...
Junpei couldn't hold back. He had to know what was in that file. Each page was covered with strange characters. They looked like tiny drawings of birds, snakes, insects, horned animals, wings, and even kneeling humans. There were many pages in the file, and each was full of these strange symbols.
What the hell is this?
I don't know, it's more like I have one joke. Something like that. Is my day job a CEO of a pharmaceutical company? Maybe. The fact that I'm not rich should answer that, but you know. He didn't realize he'd spoken out loud until Ace looked over at him.
They are hieroglyphs, a form of writing used in ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt?
That's right.
Can you read them?
Of course. I can't. What would make you think I could?
Oh, you knew what they were.
What the hell?
Junpei flipped through a few more pages. It wasn't just 1 or 2 pages that were covered in the strange symbols. Every single page was covered in them.
Whoa, the whole thing's like that.
Trying to read them was pointless. Junpei wasn't going to waste any more time with them. He made to close the file, and something fell out.
Huh? What's this?
He bent down and picked it up.
Oh, a key card.
There was a symbol on it that reminded Junpei of the symbols for the Saturn and Mercury key cards. This one, however, had a dot in the center of the male symbol.
Uranus. That's the Uranus symbol.
Junpei looked over to see Ace examining the card. In addition to the Uranus symbol, there were 3 words engraved on the card as well.
Something's written on the bottom. Bottom deck library. This must be the key to the library, then.
So it would seem.
Bottom deck library.
You people and your chocolate poking... Ugh.
Oh.
Junpei remembered something he'd heard from Seven when they'd been in the chemical closet.
Seven said something like...
Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the Forest of Knowledge beneath the navel of the Gigantic.
Could beneath the navel mean the bottom deck? And the Forest of Knowledge is the library?
Actually, I think they reinstated Pluto, didn't they? Didn't they make Pluto a planet again?
Then could Alice be in a room somewhere beyond the library?
What's wrong? Something on your mind?
Junpei blinked. Only then did he notice Ace looking at him, curiosity and concern written across his face in equal parts.
Yeah. I just remembered something.
Is that so? What about?
Well, don't laugh, okay?
There was no reason for Junpei to hide his thoughts. He began to explain his theory to Ace. Then he stopped. It wouldn't make any sense if Ace didn't know who Alice was supposed to be. So he told Ace everything June had told him.
The Egyptian priestess, an Ice 9. Interesting.
And the woman who wouldn't melt, who was recovered from the Titanic disaster? They called her All Ice, which eventually turned into Alice. And she was purchased by an English millionaire who called himself Lord Gordain. According to Seven, this ship is where he hid Alice.
And you think that he hid her in a small room, beyond the library on the bottom deck?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is just a theory.
Ace stared off into the distance, his hand slowly and absent-mindedly stroking his beard. Goatee. After a few moments, his hand stopped. He turned slowly to look at Junpei, and his brows drew together.
Junpei, have you ever heard of the term CAS?
Cass?
It stands for Cells Alive System. It is an advanced technology for freezing and preserving organic matter. Put simply, it is a technique that allows one to freeze things without the formation of ice crystals. Normally, if you freeze something fresh, water within its cells expands as it crystallizes, damaging the cell membrane. CAS, however, works differently. The object to be frozen is supercooled using magnetic fields, and then frozen instantly and uniformly, giving ice crystals no time to form.
I'm not sure physics works that way, man.
It was originally developed for the preservation of food, as an alternative to the normal freezing process. Now, however, there are rumors that it can be used for other things.
What do you mean, other things?
Well, there are obvious medical uses, but perhaps also space travel.
Space travel? Are you serious?
Surely you've heard of suspended animation, cryogenic freezing? It's a fairly common idea in science fiction books and films. People are sometimes frozen for especially lengthy journeys through space.
That was when Junpei understood what Ace was suggesting.
Whoa, wait a minute there.
Ace looked at him and raised an eyebrow.
Are you saying that Alice was frozen using that cast thing?
Well, I'm sure the possibility is quite low, but it is a possibility. If this special ice you call Ice 9 does indeed exist, and casts were used to freeze her into that sort of ice instantaneously.
You think she could be alive?
Well, I can't say for sure, of course. I'm only talking about possibilities. The melting point for Ice 9 is 96 degrees, right? If she were put somewhere where she could reach that temperature...
That's nuts. Are you really saying she could have defrosted and started walking about?
You're quite right. It does sound unbelievable. But if she had, then we would have an explanation for the man we found dead on the floor.
You mean the guy dressed like a captain?
Yes. He was dead when we found him. Clearly, he was murdered. But if he was murdered, then by whom?
Cryogenic freezing was a fad thing that really tried to take off in the 80s and 90s, where people tried to freeze themselves to survive, like, life-threatening cancer. They'd freeze themselves, and then when they cured the cancer that they had, they would try to thaw themselves out. But the problem is, it was never proven to work. I don't think they ever successfully brought a person back from cryogenic stasis like that, because when they tried to thaw them, their body just kind of decomposed. Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
It couldn't have been one of us. That would be impossible. In order to enter the captain's quarters, one must first open door 1. That door that requires the Earth key prevented us from accessing door 1. Who was it that opened that door?
Santa and Lotus.
Right. Clearly, the two of them could not have opened door 1, or any other door for that matter. Who else then could have done so?
Junpei thought for a second.
Nobody. After Santa and Lotus used the Earth key, they turned back and met up with me and June. Then we returned to the large hospital room and found Ace, 7, and Clover. While we'd gone into the shower room, Ace, 7, and Clover had stayed behind. But it's impossible for those 3 to open door 1. But what about when June and I took the elevator to door 2? No, still won't work. We were only gone 5 minutes. No human being could have run to the captain's quarters, killed that guy in there, and run back that fast.
It would be impossible for any of us to be the murderer. That being the case, who could have killed him? Wouldn't it make sense if his killer was someone who had been in the ship for some time? A person like that would know the ship well. They would know the locations of all the hidden passages and secret doors. The numbered door would mean nothing to someone like that. It would be a simple thing for them to enter the captain's quarters.
Then you're saying the killer was Alice?
No, he's saying that they wouldn't have had... It was only 5 minutes that the people had separated and then met back up. So they wouldn't have had time in that 5-minute period to get from point A to the captain's quarters and back to point A. Ace drew his thumb across his lips thoughtfully.
Well, this is all only one possible theory.
All ice. Alice. Is she really somewhere on the ship?
Junpei only had one clue. The keycard in his hand.
Maybe this card will give me access to the Forest of Knowledge. And the big mystery. What could be there beyond the Forest of Knowledge? Anyway, whatever. It's gonna have to wait. I can't do anything right now. I'll come back to this later.
He gripped the keycard tighter and shoved it deep into his pocket. screen. We have the unique key. Okay. Okay, so let's see. It should be... R is what, the 18th letter? And O, the 14th. There we go. And now that Clover isn't going to carry around the axe to use on Seven and Santa, more like the Wizard of Id. Oh, let's do this. We will get to the next point where it actually has new information for us, because that should be fairly soon. There we go. And I am going to be right back.
A note?
There we go. A note!
Yeah, I found it in the pocket of the guy with the captain's clothes. It said something about the darkness of the sinister hand or something.
What the hell? Let me see it.
No, not right.
But Junpei wasn't going to get to see it. When the other in the hall, he heard Ace's voice.
Hey, Junpei, Clover! What are you two doing? Hurry up!
He's getting mad.
Clover shrugged.
I'll show it to you later, all right? Come on, we gotta hurry.
Before Junpei could protest, she was gone. Around the corner and off down the long stem of the L. A note. A note. Junpei was curious. But there was something else that bothered him.
From the look of that pocket, it doesn't particularly look like just a note. Jeez, what are you thinking? For crying out loud.
Junpei did his best to convince himself that it would make sense later, and ran off after Clover. Junpei pushed through the door and found himself in a large room with a large set of stairs.
The big stairs. So this is where it ends up. Just like it says on the map.
It was just what he expected to see after reading the map. His "I see" after reading the map himself meant that Ace had probably realized the same thing.
Ace, did he head down?
He put his hand on the handrail and leaned over to look down.
Oh, there he is.
Look, the 4 others are there too.
You know, I just got this chair not that long ago. Man, I don't need it replaced with chocolate chairs. My viewers, I swear. And not just Ace. Santa, June, Seven, and Lotus as well.
Really?
Let's join them.
Junpei and Clover glanced at each other and hurried down the stairs. They reached B deck at the same time.
Jumpy! Clover!
June's face was excited. Something had happened. That much Junpei could tell by simply looking at her.
What's up?
Given their situation, he was not inclined to be excited about sudden developments. June, however, couldn't contain herself.
We found it!
Found what?
We found it!
What did you find?
The last door! We found door 9!
What?
Come on! Just follow us! We'll explain on the way!
Okay.
7 turned and jogged off down the stairs.
Well, if that's the case...
Wait for me.
We should get going as well.
The rest followed.
Jumpy! We finally made it!
The relief and excitement in her voice echoed what each one of them felt.
Yeah, it's finally time.
Junpei wasn't quite ready to believe they'd really done it, at least not just yet. Still, if everyone said that it was door 9, then it probably was.
We've reached the end.
He could feel his heart racing. A mixture of anticipation and fear ran through his veins, and he could feel his legs shaking. He was doing his best to maintain a sense of healthy skepticism, but he couldn't deny that the prospect of escape was an exciting one.
Something's bothering me. Only 3 to 5 people can go through the numbered door. 7 of us are on our way to door 9. That means that, best case scenario, there will be 2 of us who have to stay behind. 2 people. Is there a way?
Junpei looked over at the clock.
4:30. We've only got 90 minutes left. I've got no time to wonder about it now. Hey! Junpei! June! What the hell are you two doing? Hurry it up!
Santa's voice jolted Junpei out of his reverie.
Let's go, Jumpy!
June took off down the stairs, jogging as quickly as she could.
Yeah.
Junpei followed. As a group, they piled into the elevator and rode impatiently down to E-Deck. It looked familiar. There was a metal grate between the 2 elevators. 7 grabbed hold of it and began to talk.
I know I told you I'd explain it earlier, but honestly, there ain't much to explain. After we split off from you guys, the 4 of us got into the elevator on the left, and that took us to the other side of the grate. After that, we headed down another hallway. It took us toward the bow and eventually to the number 6 that you 2 found earlier. We opened it and kept going. There was another locked door behind it, like usual, but this time we had to complete 2 different areas before we could unlock it. Once we were through that door...
Better you than us, suckers.
There was another hallway that went the other direction, toward the stern.
So, on your way, you found the elevator.
That's right.
So, in other words, you kinda did a lap, huh? You came from that side to this side.
Yeah.
With that settled, Junpei looked around.
So, where's the number 9 door?
Over here. Follow me.
7 began walking down the hallway that would lead toward the stern. Junpei and the others broke into a jog to keep up with them.
By the way,
They'd been walking for a while, June in silent step with Junpei when she spoke.
you know, it's because of Santa that we're all here right now.
Huh?
That all 7 of us are going to door 9.
What?
You don't get it? Santa, 7, and Lotus. What's their digital route?
9. It's 9.
That's right. They could have just left me behind and kept going if they'd wanted to.
But they didn't.
Yes, because Santa wouldn't let them. He said, we can't leave June and the others behind. That's why we went looking for you guys.
Gaben not here, man. There are actually 3 games in this series. Gaben would have nothing to do with it.
And then you got on the elevator and went back to the central staircase.
That's right.
Well, I wouldn't have called that one. That Santa would be the one to stick up for you, I mean.
Junpei felt his eyebrows knit as he considered that.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Perhaps June would sense Junpei's concern.
I don't mean that Seven and Lotus said they wanted to leave me behind. We were just talking about it, and Santa objected to it first.
Is that so?
Junpei was about to respond when Seven suddenly stopped.
We're here.
In front of them stood a door.
So, is this...
Yeah.
Junpei couldn't see Seven's face, but he could see him nod.
There's no other place for us to go.
Nope. Just look around. There's a big old iron wall at the end of the hallway. The other hallways on the left and right are blocked by metal grates.
I see.
It looked as though Seven was right. The door in front of them was their only choice.
All right, let's get moving.
He pulled open the door and walked in. Junpei took a deep breath and followed. It appeared they'd been telling the truth.
No way.
The first thing Junpei saw as he entered the room was the number 9. Like all the others, it was a rough thing made of red paint. The door it decorated sat on the back wall of a rectangular room. Junpei ran up to it.
The 9 door.
It was a large double door with powerful styling. Something about it was almost majestic, and it made the red paint look especially garish.
We're finally here.
Junpei grabbed the handle and shook. It didn't budge, but then he hadn't really expected it to. The red was bolted on the wall next to the door. Its display read vacant.
No doubt about it. This is door 9. Oh, finally! This is the last...
Junpei felt a flood of emotion wash over him. He felt a chill down his back, and his chest tightened even as his blood began to boil. There was a moment of complete silence.
Junpei, look behind you.
He turned around.
Behind? What?
Junpei could scarcely believe what he saw.
Why? A door and a 9. There's another one? Hey, what the hell? What the hell is going on here?
His words came slowly, and his brain struggled to understand what he'd seen. On shaky legs, he made his way to the second 9. It was a small door, set parallel to the door they'd come through, but in the other corner of the room. 9. There was no mistaking the number, and if any more proof was needed, a red was bolted to the wall near the door.
There's a red there too! That means... And of course it won't open.
He grabbed the handle and shook the door, not because he expected it to open, but because it had to make sure it was real.
But why? Why the hell are there 2 doors?
It was Ace who spoke first.
Do you think perhaps one is the right door and the other is the wrong one?
Lotus was skeptical.
I don't know about that. It seems unlikely.
What makes you say so?
Well, think about all the rooms we've been through so far. They're full of puzzles, but there are always hints about how to solve them. I'm pretty sure there aren't any rooms where we just had to go with our best guess and leave it to instinct to solve the puzzle. Do you really think that at the very end of the game, Zero's going to suddenly throw in something that depends entirely on luck?
Then you're saying there's some sort of hint in this room?
No, I don't think there's a hint anywhere in here. I searched it very well when I was in here before. I didn't find anything that might have been a hint, though.
Well then, that means...
Yeah, both of these are the right door. I mean, if you think about it, Zero never actually said there was only one door with a 9 on it.
It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9.
Junpei began to mutter to himself.
So if there are 2 number 9 doors, if we split it up, right?
That's not gonna work.
Junpei blinked and looked up at Clover. She held out her hand.
You've got a notebook and a pen, right? Can I borrow them?
Yeah, here.
Slightly confused, he pulled them out and handed them to her.
Look at this.
Clover opened the notebook to a blank page and set it down on the desk. Everyone else gathered around her and watched as she wrote down a series of numbers.
You get it? The numbers on the top are all the combinations with digital roots of 9. The numbers on the bottom are the people who don't fit. There's only 8 possibilities if we split up into 2 groups of 3 or 4 people. So...
Cat has something to say.
If 3 people go through the door, then 4 are left behind. If 4 go through, then 3 are left behind, right?
Yeah.
Clover nodded, almost as if she were pleased with herself for solving a difficult math problem.
No way.
The room went very quiet. Silence lay across everyone like a thick, heavy blanket. No one spoke. Their faces were blank.
Come to think of it.
Desperate for something else to look at, Junpei turned his eyes to the room around him.
What is this room?
The walls were covered with candles. The wavering flame made the shadows of Junpei and his companions look as though they were dancing. 2 rows of wooden pews filled most of the room.
It looks like it's set up for some kind of ceremony. But what kind?
Between them was a strip of rich red carpet. The carpet ran straight through the room, ending at the door that pointed to the stern of the boat. At the other end of the carpet...
Is that an altar?
It was a recessed space set into the wall between the 2 other doors. Sitting on a raised section of the altar was a coffin.
A coffin? No, it couldn't possibly be.
But if it wasn't, then whose body occupied it? That was as far as Junpei wanted to pursue that line of thought. He decided not to think about the coffin for the time being. At that moment, Seven spoke. There was an edge of humor to his voice, but it was forced.
Okay, I give up. I give up. I figured if we sat around here long enough, someone would volunteer. But I guess nobody's got the guts to do it.
What are you talking about?
Junpei didn't understand. He wasn't the only one.
What? You guys didn't figure it out yet? Fine. Let me enlighten you. Clover was mostly right with her little explanation earlier, but she missed something. She wasn't really wrong, she just... screw it! Let me just write it out.
Seven snatched up the notebook and began to write in it. Everyone else clustered around him, desperate for a look.
If you're trying to leave with a group of 3 and a group of 4 and get everybody out, Clover's right. But there's another way. Only one combination, though. If you split us up into groups of 3, 3, and 1, you can make this combination.
Wait, this means...
Don't get me wrong here. I'm not trying to copy Ace or anything like that. Even if he hadn't been the hero back in the big hospital room, I'd still be saying the same thing.
The same thing? Are you saying...
Yeah, I am. I'll stay behind.
Why are you acting so heroic all of a sudden? Are you some kind of idiot?
Lotus was the first to speak. That in itself was a little strange. She'd reacted much differently when Ace had volunteered.
No, I am completely against this. I'll be goddamned if I'm gonna have to owe you for getting out of here.
The rest of them began to speak, all at once.
I'm against it too. I didn't want to leave Ace behind, and I don't want to leave you either.
I don't like that idea. There's gotta be other options.
I disagree as well. I can't say I care much for you being the hero.
Finally, they quieted down. Junpei looked at Seven.
Well, there you go, Seven. Proposal denied.
Cat voices in his opinion.
Clover's right. There's gotta be a better way than this.
Seven made some noise that was somewhere between a derisive snort and a cough.
Doesn't make any sense.
He was doing his best to pretend they were making a foolish decision, but Junpei could see the twinkling of water at the corners of Seven's eyes. That was when Santa spoke.
Whoa, hold on a minute. I haven't said anything yet.
Until then, Junpei hadn't realized that Santa had stayed quiet for the whole discussion of Seven's fate. Something in his voice made Junpei uncomfortable.
Are you agreeing? You want to leave him here?
Santa shook his head.
Nah, I'm against it. I don't want to leave Seven here alone.
Then I don't see how it matters.
I said alone.
Huh?
I said I don't want to leave Seven alone.
Can you make up your mind, Cat? There was a dull shine in Santa's eyes. They were cold and hard, and Junpei felt himself shiver.
What the hell are you...
What? You don't get it? I can't leave just one person. I need 2 more. 3 people, including Seven. I'll be leaving behind 3 people. That's my proposal. No. Those are my orders.
Ooh, orders.
What do you mean, orders? What the hell makes you think you can order us around? Who the hell's gonna listen to you?
You all will. In 3 seconds, you won't have a choice.
What?
3, 2, 1.